Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. A lot of you have been asking me questions about Marvel's Thunderbolts movie because the Sentry in that movie basically just quit. So I'll explain what's going on. A lot of people have been talking about the movie, even though Marvel never officially announced who was playing their Sentry. Everybody around the movie basically revealed what's going on, notably Robert Kirkman, who isn't even associated with the movie, but is a good friend of Steven Yeun.
I'm so proud of that.
My good friend Steven Yeun is playing the Sentry in a movie.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that's coming up. That's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, he called me. He went in for a costume fitting. I hope I'm not. I don't think this is a spoiler or anything that'll get anybody in trouble. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I don't care. I don't work for Marvel. What are they going to do to me?
Yeah,
he called me and he said, I just came back from a costume fitting for the Sentry. I guess I only do superheroes that are yellow and blue. He said he was at the costume fitting and was like, oh, crap. I forgot Invincible was yellow and blue.
Love the way he just does not give an F, like he does not care at all. What's Marvel going to do to me? The funny answer to that is that Disney would probably try to sue him out of existence, but he's rich, he has plenty of lawyers, I don't think he's in any trouble. But if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I'll explain what's going on with the actual movie. The movie itself isn't changing that much. They're going to recast the Sentry, so it'll be a completely different actor, but the main story is going to be the same. Most of you probably saw in your feeds, Steven Yeun issued a statement about quitting the Thunderbolts movie. He was very apologetic, said that he wanted to do a Marvel movie at some point, so he'd probably have to come back as some completely different character. Now, maybe Amadeus Cho, there are a lot of ideas you could throw out there. But essentially, they're getting ready to film the Thunderbolts movie, but because there were so many delays because of the strikes last year, he basically had to quit the movie. It had nothing to do with the actual script or the quality of the movie or anything like that, so it wasn't him quitting for dubious reasons. If you weren't aware, the reason why Robert Kirkman was talking about Steven Yeun as the Sentry, talking about Omni-Man and the Invincible character, is because Steven Yeun plays Invincible on the Invincible series. It's fantastic, probably one of the best superhero-related series next to The Boys that are on TV right now. The funny thing is they're actually making a live-action Invincible movie. Now because Steven Yeun quit the movie, he could actually do that live-action Invincible movie, even though I think they want to go with a slightly younger version of the character in live-action. Originally, the reason why Jake Schreier and Marvel cast him as Sentry in the movie is because of his work with him on the Beef series that he just did before the Thunderbolts movie. It's a great series if you haven't seen it. It's like the slow descent of a couple humans after they get into a minor fender bender, with their mental health getting worse and worse, them getting crazier and crazier, and just doing worse and worse things. And there's kind of like a speed run version of that during the Thunderbolts movie. It's basically Marvel's version of a Suicide Squad movie, even though they probably don't want that comparison made just because it makes it seem too similar to James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie. But basically that's the setup. You have Val, who's like their version of Amanda Waller, putting the team together to fix a mess that she herself created when she created the Sentry, and he went crazy, turning into the Void, making him the most dangerous person on the planet. Like, you basically kill someone who could wipe the entire planet. Now you have to put a team of anti-heroes together who nobody cares about. You don't care if they die, so they're expendable to try and clean up your mess.
Things are about to get weird. So when they do, we're not gonna need a Captain America. Keep your phone on.
Will do, Val.
Don't call me that.
Copy.
Currently, the Thunderbolts team is Winter Soldier, Red Guardian, Yelena Belova, Black Widow, U.S. Agent, Ghost, Taskmaster, and Ayo Edebiri is playing Val's assistant. Most of you remember her from The Bear. She's a great actress. They usually use her in comedic things, like darkly comedic things, and you can definitely picture her with Val, like trying to deal with Val. But essentially the idea in the movie is that Val has taken over control of the Weapons Plus program, and that's where the Sentry comes from. This is the clip of the director talking about what the movie is actually about.
Characters, and is there something specific to those characters that bring them together, and something that they're going through that isn't, the most traditional superhero, story to be told. And I think that's sort of similar to the way that we're looking at Thunderbolts, is that there is a real clear take and perspective on these characters, and there's a specificity to it. And then also, John Watts is my roommate from college, and we're good friends, and so knowing just what a great experience he had making those films. And I even did second unit on like the LA portion of one of the Spider-Man movies, so like having a little bit more kind of connection or insight into that world. But beyond that, it was just like a really different approach and a new kind of story to tell amidst that, which I know they've made so many things. But it is, it's not a sequel. And it's not, yes, these characters have appeared before, but it is a new story being told, and a story, I think, with a very different perspective than maybe people are expecting. And I think that that felt exciting and felt like a real challenge worth taking on.
Sentry's real name is Robert Reynolds. He started out as a drug addict who was just down on his luck and broke into a lab where he thought he could find a score. He took what he thought was going to be drugs that were going to get him high, but it wound up giving him powers. It wound up being the Golden Sentry Serum, which was a derivative of the Super Soldier Serum, part of the Weapons Plus program. It gave him the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. Like, that version of the Super Soldier Serum was way more potent than the version that the other super soldiers on the Thunderbolts team got, or even Captain America got. But the process of getting all that power when he was already kind of broken mentally caused him to develop an alternate personality called the Void, who's a totally evil version of himself with an equal level of power, but different types of powers. So a lot of his backstory is similar to the backstory for Homelander and the other boys, superhero characters getting their powers from Compound V, but the whole pitch is that he's mentally very broken character. He's not mentally stable, so the whole idea is, what if Superman, but he's totally crazy, which is where you get to the Sentry in the MCU. Totally schizophrenic. He's a schizotypal personality disorder, not the same thing that Moon Knight suffers from, but similar. Both of them have alternate personalities, like Moon Knight has Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, we just met Jake Lockley at the end of that series, but he has something called dissociative identity disorder, which is different from what Sentry has.
I'll get us through this, just as long as you and me stick together. One love and a mommy and a daddy and a boo-hoo-hoo.
Soldier Boy is a good example. Like, he's the first version of the Compound V superheroes that they created. Eventually they refined the formula like they did for the Sentry, and Homelander winds up getting a much more potent version of it, becoming nigh invulnerable, the most powerful person on planet Earth. But the whole pitch is that he's mentally very broken character. He's not mentally stable. So the whole idea is, what if Superman, but he's totally crazy, which is where you get to the Sentry in the MCU.
You think you look strong? You're just a Chi knockoff.
Oh, no. I'm the upgrade.
They revealed what's going on with Val, Thunderbolt Ross, and their whole plot to recreate super soldiers in the Weapons Plus program. This pays off a long-running Easter egg that I'll explain in a second from the first Incredible Hulk movie. And at D23, Kevin Feige very specifically remarked that Winter Soldier was going to be the most mentally stable person on the Thunderbolts. David Harbour, who plays Red Guardian, said that it's all about this group of fundamentally broken people, mentally broken that is, who all have crazy levels of powers, who find a way to work together and help heal each other slowly. Like, help each other actually accomplish their mission, but also fix a lot of their mental problems they've been suffering from. And a lot of them just happen to be super soldiers, kind of like Sentry is. Technically, he's a super soldier, even though it's a slightly different version of the formula. Through Captain America 4 and the Thunderbolts movie, they're paying off this long-running Easter egg from the Incredible Hulk movie with the Weapons Plus program, which is meant to be Thunderbolt Ross's renamed version of the Super Soldier program.
For biotech force enhancement.
Yeah, super soldier.
And I dusted it off. Got him doing serious work again, bold work.
So, for example, Wolverine comes from the Weapon X program, but X is a Roman numeral that stands for 10. He's the 10th version of the Weapons Plus program of them trying to recreate a super soldier using different means. All the members of the team here come from some iteration of the Weapons Plus program or some offshoot in the case of the Winter Soldier with Hydra's Winter Soldier program. So the idea in the movie is the Sentry has gone crazy and the Thunderbolts have to come in and stop him, probably kill him on Val's orders. There are a couple of changes they made to the way that the Sentry's powers work too. So instead of him just transforming into the Void, or like the Void personality taking over his body and him having some kind of physical transformation, first off, his powers are going to work a little bit like Dragon Ball Super Saiyan transformations when he transforms into just regular Sentry. And instead of his body transforming when the Void takes over his mind, it'll actually be more like the Jujutsu Kaisen domain expansion ability, where the Thunderbolts literally have to travel into his domain, like his mind space. A lot of anime tropes working into Marvel nowadays, but Jujutsu Kaisen has been so fired that if you're going to borrow from something in anime, that would be the right place to do it. Even though Steven Yeun is leaving the project, I'm expecting most of the story to stay the same as it was before because they are getting ready to shoot, but because so much time has gone by since they announced the Thunderbolts movie, they might have changed a little bit of it, also with all the delays. Generally nowadays, Val seems kind of like their Nick Fury in that she shows up in everybody's post-credit scenes. She's kind of filling that role. We might see her in a couple post-credit scenes in the upcoming movies because there's a lot of ground-level stuff happening during Marvel Phase 5 just in general. In fact, speaking of ground level, the people who made Echo and are making Daredevil Born Again said that they're actually setting up Kingpin to be their ground level Thanos inside the MCU. So, a lot of hope for him showing up in Spider-Man 4 as one of the big antagonists. I'll do separate videos about Spider-Man 4 when we get more details about that. That's like a whole completely separate thing. Let me know in the comments, if the Sentry role is wide open now, who do you want to actually play that character? And if you haven't seen them, I did videos for all the Invincible episodes. They're amazing, so I'll post links for those in the description below. We're going to get the second half of Invincible Season 2 later this year. Click here for that brand new Daredevil trailer with all of Marvel's Netflix Defenders now being canon to the MCU confirmed. Thankfully, Marvel finally confirmed that. And click here for that brand new Marvel Moon Knight Season 2 announcement. Thank you so much for watching, Happy New Year, and I'll see you guys in the next one.